Stitch number 17 is a hand look quilt stitch on the Pfaff Ambition Essential. Now this stitch is a manipulated stitch, so I'm going to show you some tricks to get it to really turn out correct. And you have to thread it up with the threads I'm going to tell you. So first off, you need some clear thread in the needle. Now I've put it down here because, well, number one, you really need to put it on a thread stand. But in a pinch, if you don't have a thread stand, put it right in front of the machine and put the vertical spool pin in the top and let the thread come up and around it and then over to the first guides. What that does is it makes the thread not want to get caught on things. It's very kinky sometimes, not in a good way. And you're going to go ahead and thread it up as normal. The color of thread you want it to show on the top needs to be in your bobbin. Yes, that seems backwards, but somebody came up with the idea that if you stitched kind of this way with this stitch, it looks like you've stitched it by hand. Well, unless you turn it over to the back side, which I'll show you. So I was just stitching with a twin needle here. We were playing with 2 spools of thread. That's where I showed how to put a big spool down here and let it go up and over the top. But with stitch number 17 selected, start with the basic settings. You can make that kind of a little longer or shorter if you want. But the next thing you have to do is take the top tension and go up to a much higher number. Usually I just go up to 8 or 9, just go straight to it. Now when you start to stitch, you probably aren't going to see much of anything happen. It does take like a stitch or two to kind of get it to start to pull the bobbin thread up. So if you had a really tight tension at the top, what is it going to do? It's going to pull that colorful thread up from the back side. I have found that some clear threads work differently depending on the type of thread you put in your bobbin and the type of batting you have underneath and between your 2 fabrics you're quilting together. That can all be variables for this stitch, but let's just show you what we're talking about. As it stitches, what it does is it pulls up the bobbin thread, kind of does an extra lock and lock, but then as it goes forward, where it looks like there's no thread, that's just one stitch of clear thread going forward. And then it starts the sequence again. Kind of a stitch forward, a dragging back of the bobbin thread, a locking, and then a couple stitches to get to the next one. Now, as I said, when you turn it over, you are going to be able to see that it was all stitched with one thread back here. But if you're looking for a hand look stitching, like by doing quilting by hand, there's a stitch, when manipulated correctly with all the planets and stars aligned, it will look like you sewed it by hand.